everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. If you are watching this, then you are breathing, which means you have life and purpose, so that's a great thing. And I just want to sow a little something extra into that life today and into that purpose that God has for you. The last couple of weeks, God's been really stirring something in my heart and a challenge as we go into a new season. Fall is always a kickoff time, and especially in the church calendar, it's one of those times where it's like everything new starts. And there's this pull on time. There's this pull on the things that you can spend your days and your weeks and your months on. And really, we want to be purposeful about how we engage this season, and we want to do the things that God has for us. And so really today I want to talk to you about sowing time. And a couple weeks ago, Rex Crane was in our area, and some of you were able to hear him as well, and he's just an awesome man of God. But he asked a question in one of his sections, and he said, if you are in the same place in life, everything in the circumstances of your life are the same 6 months from now, are you okay with that? And I mean, there's nothing wrong with my life at all. I'm a blessed person, I'm a blessed woman of God, but really, when I look at 6 months from now, if everything's exactly the same, I'm actually not okay with that. And I was thinking about, the idea of spiritual stuff. I want to have deeper encounters with God. I want to have better prayer times. I want to have deeper worship times. I want to know God more. I want more revelations of truth. And naturally speaking, I want to have deeper relationships. I want to have greater encounters with the people who I love in my life. Physically, I want to be a better steward of the temple that God has given me, and I want to take care of it better. I want to make some better choices. Financially, there's some things that I would like to be increased in or expanded in so I can sow differently. And so really, 6 months from now, if nothing changes, no, I'm not okay with that. And so looking at that, I really, spent time with God, and it was like, okay, God, what do I have to do? What do I have to do today to get where it is that you want me to go? What is it that I need to change in every day to see the growth and to see the expansion that is in my heart to see? And God really challenged me with the concept of sowing time. Instead of spending time, instead of just the investment of time, sowing time. And it really comes down to the concept of sowing and reaping, which God first talked about. Genesis chapter 8, he talks about there will always be seasons of sowing and reaping. And it's a kingdom principle. It's how God has designed the earth. There is sowing and there is reaping. And the difference between spending and sowing is that spending is just exchanging something, but sowing is about multiplication. Sowing is about a seed goes into the ground and bears a plant, and it multiplies. It comes back greater than it ever was before. And so if God is challenging us to really lay hold of the days that he's given us and to make the most of it, it requires us to not just spend the time, but to sow the time. And so when I look at that and I think, okay, yeah, seriously, every minute that I have, every day that you wake up, you have breath. It's a gift from God, which means he's given you another minute. He's given you another hour. He's given you another day of time to sow into the things that he has placed before you. And so, really, if I want to see a harvest of deeper encounters with God, deeper worship times, deeper revelations of truth, 6 months from now, I want to see a harvest of that, then today I need to choose to sow into it. Today, I need to take some of those minutes and I need to sow them into the kingdom. I need to sow them into time with God. I sow them into worship. I sow them into prayer. I sow them into the word. If I want to see deeper relationships, then maybe today I take half an hour or an hour and I specifically call up friends, or I spend time connecting with people, and I sow into their lives. I sow into that relationship. I take those minutes and I don't just spend them, but I sow them and believe that it's going to bring about a harvest. If I want a healthier body, I want to see my temple, my physical being be strong, then I don't just spend an hour at the gym. I sow an hour at the gym. I take those minutes and I give them to God, and I say, okay, do in me what needs to be done. Like, give me the strength to do what needs to be done. I make wiser choices. I make better use of the resources that are around me when I'm sowing time. And really, it comes down to understanding that every minute you spend is actually a minute sown into one kingdom or another, one camp or another. It is about actually multiplying something. And so I want to just read to you from Galatians chapter 6. Starting at verse 7, it says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life." And so what are the things of the flesh? What are the things that are sowing to the flesh? Well, if we go back a little bit further to chapter 5, it says, "For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. They are contrary to one another." And there's two different camps. You're going to have to pick one of them. But he says then, going on in verse 19, "Now the works of the flesh are evident. They are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like." And most of us would have to say that we're not, super caught up in, maybe adultery or murder or things like that. But, just basically according to the word, gossip, the same root word applies between gossip and murder. It's the same thing in God's eyes. Or selfish ambitions. Sowing to selfish ambitions is preferring myself over others. It's preferring my own desires over others and over God's. Selfish ambitions is actually sowing to the flesh. But the things of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. So really, I have a choice in every moment. I can spend my minutes on the things of the flesh, or I can spend my minutes and sow them into the things of the Spirit. I can choose love. I can choose self-control. I can choose gentleness. I can choose goodness. I can choose faithfulness. I can choose long-suffering. I can choose to sow into those things and believe that I will receive a harvest from the kingdom of God. So I want to challenge you as you go into this fall season and you're making your choices and the things that you're signing up to do and the way you're spending your days, the way you're spending your time. Choose to not just spend time, but sow time. And sow it into the things that will bear fruit that will last for the kingdom of God. Bless you today. Have a great day.